Gathered friends, listen again to our legend of Godzilla in the one corner and Cthulhu in the other. Round 1, fight!
It looks like Godzilla, but due to international copyright law, it's not.
Right. We're talking about Potato Dragon. Okay.
Yep. This is the Gathered Friends podcast, everybody's favourite show on the Beaverhouse channel, including yours, listener.
Yep. Apparently people don't even know that we produce content other than this.
Gathered friends, listen again to my dulcet tones.
Oh my.
Yeah, I just had someone on Twitter who works on Legend of Matanui with us.
No, he's on the Beam Up team.
Same thing. And he asked, has anyone at the Beaverhouse even beaten Amnog 2? And I'm like, we have 16 hours worth of we have 16 worth of content, 16 hours worth of content on it. You don't have to watch it to just assume that we wouldn't have published
I made a 10-minute compilation of all of the failures at Coley that cut out, or Coley specifically against Pokoro, that cut out 8 hours of grinding in the training for strategy.
Oh my god.
There was only 10 minutes worth of failure?
Oh no, there is another 8 hours of failure. But I managed to cut it down so much, and I sped it up. And then I put 9 different picture-in-pictures to have it all on screen at once within 10 minutes.
That's amazing. I need to watch this.
I'll send it in chat.
Oh my god, please do.
I had cereal today, and to test if the bowl was real, I had to put the cereal in backwards.
What?
Well, that's a Josieism.
How do you put cereal in a bowl backwards?
I don't know, but I'm
What
scared.
direction do you think is the front of the bowl?
The section with the crack in it.
Did you turn the bowl upside down and then try to put cereal in it?
And there it is.
No, that would be.
And
no,
put that on
down.
Put a snippet of this on screen so others can see the madness.
Oh no, the whole thing's going on screen. It's just going to be playing in the background for the whole video.
The entire Gathered Friends episode, whatever, but every time they say the word Coley, it becomes the entire Beaverhouse stream of Mimog 2. And then every time Liam swears, it becomes the entire Beaver Week.
Okay.
But each successive mention of the word Coley, it's also bass boosted. Each time. So it stacks.
Hell yeah.
And eventually
Curtis,
it just turns into a Skrillex video.
Curtis,
I'm down.
At the end it just becomes at the end of the 87-year-long video, it becomes a Skrillex video. Yeah. Curtis, you're writing all this down, right? You gotta do this.
It's all been recorded.
Okay.
So how about that Zevon?
Oh my god.
How about that book we read?
Yeah, we read a whole book.
It's
huh?
wild.
We basically read the
Technically-
entirety of Challenge of the Hordika and also some comics.
I read all of that like 2 weeks ago because I read like 6 weeks in advance when we started book 5.
Why?
We get it, Liam. You're the toe of time.
I just got to Time Trap yesterday.
Also,
boy.
Cool. And we have a new guest today. I don't know who he is.
Hi, I'm Alon.
But I do know that you read the entire book in less than a day.
About 3 hours, I think, of the required materials I was told to read.
That is incredible.
I have alcohol
Hey,
and chocolate.
Compared to Nathan, who was on 2 episodes ago, he read the book that we did in that episode in a week.
Oh, he didn't read the whole book. He just read the required chapters for this week.
That's the thing that I said,
You
Liam.
said you were referring to Nate, who was trying
book?
to read the entire Biological Chronicle in that time.
Oh god.
Oh, okay. So they're both impressive in different ways. You read just the required reading in a day. He read the whole thing in a week.
I started about 3 hours
I read
ago.
more than half of the Mask of Light book in like 2 hours when we were ready to record, and then we had to reschedule, so I didn't actually have to do that.
We get it, Liam. You're Doctor Strange's bling. We get it.
I just want to mention, in the comics, I realised all this, they've been complaining, oh, woe is us, we've been transformed into these hideous beasts, these disgusting creatures.
Yep.
Like, the biggest change is their faces got slightly longer.
Yep.
Have you not actually seen the sets? Sword says they're the worst ones.
What?
Yeah, Curtis, you posted that tier chart, and I was actually in a call with Sword at the time because he just calls me to just talk. It's weird.
Don't talk to me, creature.
I love Sword. He's great.
But,
like even 2 years ago, I would never have imagined that the guy who runs the good Bionicle wiki, would just call me randomly for no reason to talk about sports.
It's fine. He threatened to ban me from BSO1 the other day.
So the reason I brought that up, I watched him make the tier chart, and we talked about what the deal was, because he put 2005 at the bottom. It was like the first thing he did. Like, yeah.
I mean, I'll say that the Rahaga are kind of shit in design, but that's just a running theme for the small sets after 2005, so that was just the beginning of it.
Honestly, I don't think they're that bad. I kind of think they have a certain charm to them with the whole very heavily Technic-based feel they got to them.
I guess.
Yeah, what do you mean? What do you mean after 2005? I watched CTV's video that started the Selekian cult, and they put Borak Va on their worst list.
Borak Va are adorable.
Yeah,
What the fuck?
The Borak Va, I can understand why they think that, because the Borak Va are literally just Turaga with big heads and Tohunga feet.
Yeah.
Like, I like the small sets. Like, I agree that the Avatorin are pretty lazy.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Those are definitely the worst, I think.
Yeah. Now the Rahaga, you just take the rock shed and put a Darth Vader on there.
Oh God, this again.
Okay, I have a gripe with the Rahaga, and it's specifically in the way they're built. The way the Technic beams connect to their heads is like almost impossible to take off without breaking the stun.
Oh God, yeah, you practically have to use a brick separator for it.
They're hard to get on as well. Like when I built all six, it's just like getting that orange left arm into the actual Rakshi skull piece. Such a pain to get it done without snapping things.
Speaking of dumb sets, Curtis, put on screen that image of my TuragaNuva rebuild.
Oh yeah. Wait,
Yeah.
put that up.
Yeah.
Fucking Levi, you won't know who this is until the beginning of the next book, but basically we found out that the TuragaNuva set, which was originally just Gold Good Guy and later made canon by Greg, is literally just a shittier version of Kazi's build. So I just decided, you know what, I'm going to take the parts of TuragaNuva that work, add on the parts of Kazi that actually add on to that build, and use an Avmatoran head to make the head not shit. It looks really good.
Neat.
I need to see this.
I will send you a picture in chat as well.
Amazing.
Cool. Everybody's friends. Ungathered friends.
I'm gonna send Lib images of the Toa Hordika.
Yeah, Toa Hordika.
Apparently he hasn't seen them.
I appreciate what they were going for with the Toa Hordika designs, but the fact that they all have the exact same, like, long right arm design, it kind of takes away from the idea that they've been mutated. It just feels like they're all very uniform still.
I like how the movie does it, where like they only have one of their tools, and then literally fucking the one tool is like fused to their hand, and they have one just clawed hand.
I like that.
That was a good design choice for the movie. One thing that I've got more from the comics and the book than I have from the movie is just how aggressive their Hordika forms are. Like, it feels so much more dumbed down and kiddified in the films, if that makes sense.
Yeah, for sure. In the film, they sort of say every now and again, "Oh, I hate being a Hordika," but that's it. That's as far as it goes. In the books and the comics, they...
TuragaNuva, by the way.
Like, holy shit, one of the sections with Vakama, like when they're taking down the Tower of Toa, or Tower of Vizrak, I guess, Vakama's like, yep, might as well kill myself now. And that's like, holy shit, they didn't go anywhere near that in the films.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff in the book that... in the books, plural, that just was not in the film whatsoever. Mostly because these were essentially filler arcs before the film came out.
Yeah, and that's fine.
But yeah, I really appreciate what they did here. So should we get into that then? Now that we're how many minutes into the podcast already? Like 13?
Indeed.
Okay. So we begin with a good old Turaga Vakama on the island of Matanui telling us all that he's still telling stories, because he needs to remind us of that every few chapters. This is, of course, because of the original books. They began and ended with Turaga Vakama. It's a nice little bookends.
He's all senile.
Yeah, and he keeps recapping things.
If he doesn't remind the audience that he's telling stories, he'll forget.
Yeah. And he drops a little bit of knowledge here, saying that basically the Matoran losing their memories of Metronui did not happen instantaneously. Apparently it happened sometime after they were awakened on Matanui, which I'm not entirely sure why that detail was mentioned, but I guess that's a thing.
It kind of fucks the canon.
Notice that.
Mm.
There are a lot of aspects in canon that don't make a whole lot of sense, and I haven't figured out yet.
Yeah. So getting back into the story proper, well, pretty much straight into a fight between Kraka and Rudaka, who are mutually opposed to each other, because Rudaka is like, this Vizrak next to me, that ain't no Vizrak, and so...
You did not come out of me.
I mean, Rudaka isn't like their literal mother.
Oh, I thought she was like the queen of the Horde.
No, she's like their figurative queen.
But then, like, the Queen of England isn't my birth mother, so...
Exactly, it's like that.
That's what you want us to think. Clearly all British people come from the same source. It's like an ant colony.
Who told you?
Wait a minute, you're saying England isn't an ant colony? That's what I was about to say, Liam. You stole my joke.
It's literally true. Every single one of us is descended from royalty.
Yep. Rudaka stresses when talking with Sidorak that she's not technically the queen of the Vizrak yet, because she doesn't want to actually marry Sidorak, because that's how monarchy works.
Oh yeah, marriage is a thing in Bionicle, but it's a purely political thing. It's got nothing to do with romance whatsoever.
Love isn't
you have to
canon.
marry into it, and like Rudaka like hates Sidorak, I guess, but she pretends she doesn't.
Isn't it just socially acceptable for female insects to eat their mates anyway? Couldn't she just marry him and then eat him?
Oddly enough, Rudaka herself is a reptile and not an insect.
What?
Oh my god.
Yeah.
I'm unclear.
This insect guy's like, my queen, my scaly princess.
Yeah,
Sidorak's a scaly confirmed.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Sidorak isn't an insect either. He may be king of the Vizrak hordes, but he is not related to them species-wise whatsoever.
What the fuck is this incestuous shit?
So the Vizrak presumably at one point had an insect king or whatever, and then Sidorak was all like, "Fuck you!"
Yeah.
And then he left. It wasn't a fight to the death. Just he said "fuck you" to the guy, and then the guy was all like, "I'm out." Okay.
Presumably, yeah.
Growing up, I mostly remembered Sidorak from the movie. Sidorak kind of sucks in the movie.
I mean, there's a reason there's a lot of memes going about calling him a cuck.
Yeah, in this book, the book portrays him as being much more interesting.
Yeah, he has a certain level of presence in the book that he just doesn't get to show off in the movie whatsoever.
Normally I agree with some of the changes that they have in the movies, but that one's just kind of confusing. Why would you purposely make one of your characters suck?
Especially for someone who's meant to be representing the literal king of an army that's known to be one of the most ferocious and non-stopping things on the island.
He is made out to be a bit of a fucking idiot, given they're constantly like, his tactic is just to throw insects at things.
They literally say it
with this, like, if that's his personality, how has he conquered so many lands? Is he just
because
like...
he has many insects to throw at things.
I think it's more implied that he, like... It's definitely implied later on, I believe, that basically whenever shit hits the fan, he's just like, okay, Hordika, you take care of this.
I know one of the things it mentions definitely is when there's a problem, the solution is send more Visorak.
Yeah,
like,
I mean, Hordika literally says at some point, Sidorak is a brilliant tactician. He always overcomes his enemies with overwhelming force. Like,
so that's like blatant sarcasm.
I guess so.
Sidorak is definitely an idiot, but apparently but outside of the movie, he's at least a badass idiot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And presumably, presumably conquering other lands might have taken more strategy, but Metronui, like, it's already conquered basically.
Yeah, I don't see why they were
like,
like, "Ooh, I need Toa now."
Yeah, they're. I'm unclear why Sidorak wants to Toa. I think he just wants them dead.
He just wants the glory of killing them.
Hordika wants them dead to harness their bodies for elemental energy, so she can free her actual boyfriend from the Chamber of Odd Secrets.
Her husbando.
Yeah.
Hashtag free Bakuta.
I'm just so incredibly amazed that I think the first time the word breast appeared in anything made by Lego, and it was Hordika sticking a dildo she made out of her boyfriend's prison in between her cleavage.
But she's a lizard.
She got a big metal lizard
does
titty.
not have the breast.
Okay, so the chest plate on her armor has the boobage.
I mean, we'll see
So
when we
clearly
watch
she
the
must have the
movie.
boobies.
But let's get into the actual book, which we haven't done yet, technically.
Oh yeah,
Do
Kraka.
any Bionicles lactate? Is the question. Oh yeah, Kraka. And the badass.
Yeah, Kraka lactates, of course. I mean, she could shapeshift into something that does.
Theoretically, if there is bonkles that do lactate, Kraka would be one of them because she could be that one. But do any of them other than moving right on? Yeah. So Ben 10 fights Vilgax and
yeah. So Kraka is trying to repel this
Vilgax
invader to her homeland because, you know, much like the Toa Metru, she don't want anybody new invading Metronui. That just seems like a bad idea all round. And she gets completely curb stomped by Hordika.
Yeah, and Hordika, like the last thing Kraka turns into before she ends up ultimately losing is a pretty badass fight, but then she turns into a Kagarak for some reason, and Hordika's like, "You think you can beat me with one of my own guys? Fuck off!"
How, like, she started off, like, she was just introduced as tailing Hordika as just a random Visorak.
Yep.
And then she's like, "But then why am I telling you this? You're not one of mine, are you?"
Yeah.
Yeah, Kraka doesn't really study what she turns into much, because she would probably figured that no Visorak would willingly spend this much time with Hordika.
Although
they're all terrified.
she's always pictured in a throne room with Visorak around her. I don't know if they're always the same Visorak, but
I assume she kicks
Well, of course not. Of course not. She kicks them a lot.
Yeah.
They all. She's got to kick all of them. She's like me with tweets. Like it may take a long time, but I will kick all of my horde.
It's an abusive relationship.
Step on me, Hordika.
God fucking get. Well, we know the name of this episode.
Oh no!
Well, she's a sexy robot lizard dominatrix.
No, what we
Her
need is
set
the
literally has heels.
Yeah, I don't know
we
why.
need the Gadsden flag, the whole "Don't step on me" thing, with like
No
a
step on
Visorak.
Snack.
No step on Visorak.
Oh dear. But yeah, eventually the two come to an understanding as Hordika's like, "Hey, you know, I could just kill you, or you could, like, do my busy work. What do you say? And Crocker's like, yeah, sure.
I'm really confused about this, because apparently she knows about Kraka and her fight with the Toametru. So she wants Kraka to go capture the Toametru for her plan. But if she knows about the fight, wouldn't she know that Kraka turned into a big, scary monster?
The plan
and
wasn't
accidentally...
to get Kraka to capture them for her. The plan was to get Kraka to plant the fucking evidence that they're not really Toa, really inside them, deep down.
Oh yeah, that.
Well, I think the point I was trying to get at was, like, if she knew about the fight between the Toa and Kraka and what Kraka turned into, would she not also then know that Kraka was capable of producing a Toa seal and therefore breaking one?
I mean, can she transform into all the Toa at once?
She did.
I think she does that again in this book.
Yeah. Yeah, she did once before during her initial fight with the Toametru. And
so, like, all she could... all Hordika would really have to do is take Kraka to Makuda's prison, tell her, shoot that thing, and it's just done.
I mean, the easy solution to this plot hole is Hordika knows that Kraka fought the Toametru, but not that part.
But it's like... She would have to know that she can't transform into all of them at once, because logic would dictate that if she can do that, she can make and break Toa seals.
Yeah. But did Kraka ever actually demonstrate using Toa power, or was it just the elemental powers?
Same thing.
Yeah, she accidentally created a block of solid protodermis, which is literally just what a Toa seal is.
Yeah, okay, so a Toa seal is not created with Toa power. A Toa seal is created with elemental energy, which is like the regular version. And then Toa power is the stuff that makes Toa stones and heals bears.
It's literally just what happens when you combine all the elements into one.
Yeah.
I don't know why I even stand up for Greg anymore.
Hey, it's better than what G2 did with that concept. And instead of making a Toa seal, you make the Mask of Ultimate Power. Apparently.
Ooh, that definitely isn't a MacGuffin. The Mask of Ultimate Power, that's not broken at all.
I mean, there's a reason for it in the story, but I suppose we might get to that eventually.
I'm sorry, I think you misspoke. I think you mispronounced there's a reason G2 failed.
Well, yeah.
I was going to ask, did G2 have story?
Yes.
Yeah. But yeah, okay, getting back to that Toa seal thing, it doesn't even have to be, like, the 6 elements that we know of. Like, okay, slight spoiler alert, there are more elements. I think it's been mentioned at some point, but there are more.
There is 17.
Yeah.
17 elements.
And literally any combination of 6 of those elements will make a Toa seal.
Do they have to be unique elements?
Yeah, they do.
You just said that.
No, but imagine having a Toa team of just 6 fire Toas. That'd be terrible.
Yeah, no, that wouldn't do it. But yeah, any 6 unique...
You get all 17. You get super protodermis.
Oh, shit.
You get the ultimate protodermis of power. And MacGuffin.
Greg never thought of that one. Greg never thought of that. So the Toa Monkai, Toa Likon's team, actually had 4 Toa of ice and 2 Toa of water on it, in addition to... Yeah, so, like, it had 11 Toa, and 6 of them were wet ones.
Hey, let's play Overwatch and have 5 Maze on our team.
Yeah, so, yeah, more than half of the team were cold ones, and they named a volcano after them.
I mean, Likan's the only one that matters, let's be honest.
Likan was the leader.
Too. Like, you're not wrong. Because, like, I'm in the middle of reading the part after this book where it's, like, in between... Or the part after Web of Shadows, where it's in between, like, it's telling Likan and Nidiki's story, basically. And they...
that is included in this book? Okay.
And they literally say, Likan is worth 6 Toa in battle.
Yep. Oh dear. Anyway, back to the book that we're reading this time, I suppose, since we've only covered one chapter.
And not books that we're not reading.
Not even
not
one
books
chapter,
that
and we're already a half hour in.
Yay.
There's a lot to talk about.
So we've not discussed any of it.
So the new Toa Hordika.
Exactly.
They've decided to salvage parts to build new transports to get back out of the city, because they keep wrecking their rides, and they don't know what to do about all these Matoran.
And they just assume
Well,
that
that's
the
what you-
caves are now big enough to fly through.
Yeah, I'm not entirely
That's
sure
what-
how they plan to get these supposed airships
They're,
out.
they're in beast mode, so they're not thinking straight.
True.
No, but
Yeah.
spoiler alert, it works anyways by pure coincidence, because supposedly, and I quote, the aftershocks from the Great Cataclysm made the caves bigger.
Sure.
I hate
Sure, that's
coincidences
a-
like
that's-
that in stories.
That's how earthquakes work. Earthquakes do...
No, but this
the
entire
most
plot thread of them making airships relies on that coincidence having happened.
Yep.
Yeah, that's stupid as hell. Yep, that's how earthquakes work. They make caves bigger.
So could you say it's a Deus Ex Mechanical?
Deus Ex Bionicle.
Well, I mean, you're not wrong.
Matter undivided?
Anyway, so yeah, all the Hordika, they're going around looking for parts and things, and let's see, where are we? Oh yeah, Nuju and Koalas. Or is it Koolas? I'm not
It's
entirely
Koolas.
sure. Koolas, okay.
It's koalas.
Because he's the coolest.
You know what? I've been watching Little Karibo watches Yu-Gi-Oh! GX. Let's just call him Chumley.
No, but as far as I'm concerned, the movie pronounces it coolest, so.
Yeah.
Chumley.
Well, we all know how accurate those always are.
Oh, yeah. The movies also say Matau, so,
What's wrong with Matau?
Wait, Matau's
it's not right, it's Matau.
How so?
Look in every
Matau?
single pronunciation guide, it's Matau.
Oh, no.
I brought this up
Okay.
before.
So, I have a note here. I don't know when this is from, but it's the first one. So, they talk about naming day, and they talk about it as if it's Christmas.
Yeah.
Naming
Yeah.
day is like Christmas. And there's a myth in Matoran culture that Matanui comes down the chimney and gives all the good little boys in Gamatoran
Wasn't that said in mockery, though?
Gamatoran, what?
Because boys and Gamatoran,
Okay.
yes.
I mean, I guess.
Because they're the only
I mean,
girl.
you could have just said boys and all the little good boys and girls normally, like you didn't have to specify.
There's only one
Gamatoran.
girls. Liam, there's only one girls.
That's not. That's technically not correct.
So,
It's also very
exactly.
discriminatory.
There.
so
Out of 17 elements, only 5 of them can be female.
Yeah.
okay, but that quote was said in mockery as a response to them wanting to find Kitongu. So they're saying
yeah.
like that the possibility of Kitongu existing is about as the same as Matanui coming down and giving gifts on naming day.
I choose to headcanon that. By the end of Bionicle, Kitongu has become
I
single.
choose to headcanon that Matanui has a long, flowing white beard.
Speaking of Kitongu, can we have a moment of silence for that cancelled playset with a Toa scale Kitongu? Put it on screen.
Yeah.
I put
And now put on the Chibi Kitongu mock that one of Legend of Matanui's followers posted on Twitter recently.
Okay, you'll have to admit that's me.
It is Kawaii Desu.
Kawaii?
Kawaii.
Kawaii Desu.
Is that
Kawaii.
Japanese from
It's like-
Matanui?
No, that's the name of Japan as a village in Bonk Lore.
Kawaii.
Kawaii. That's great.
Okay. Anyway, so where the hell were we?
Naming day, I don't know.
Yeah. Okay. So, Koalas tells Nuju to start speaking bird language because that's a thing that eventually happens, and Nuju's like, "No, that's stupid. I'll
Why would
never
I ever
ever
want
do
to talk
that."
to a bird? And
Doesn't
then
go on
he
to
immediately
only
says,
ever.
I noticed this part of the story, like this entire arc from 2004 to 2006, really likes to shoehorn in these ironic past references, like Matau saying something along the lines of, like, oh, that'll be the day, and next we'll be living up in the trees.
swinging
Or,
from
I'm not
the
gonna
feet.
speak bird, that'd be dumb.
There's also a bit...
I've been calling it foreshadowing, lumping it in with the actual
It's more like
foreshadowing, but it's
backshadowing.
technically not
It's
foreshadowing.
Yeah.
retroactive. It's retroactively taking the piss out of the original canon, and it starts off being funny, but they do it so much that it's like, oh, they're doing this shit again.
There's also a bit later on where,
Like I
Sorry,
said,
go on.
I think I said last episode. It's basically a running gag at this point, because like literally they said a thing that was going. They said, "Oh, that'll never happen," and then the thing happened, and that thing was them turning into Hordika.
Vakama, if there's one thing I hate, it's people who sit around all day telling stories.
And then,
Yeah,
of
he
course,
specifically
there's the
said-
one in the movie and the last book with the immediate payoff that we just talked about last time. Oh no! No matter how much I might want to, I can't just change. He immediately transforms into a Hordika.
Yeah, that's what I was talking about. Like that was the punchline to the
Yeah,
running gag.
that was when they jumped the shark.
Yeah.
No, Liam. That was the punchline. Everyone after that is jumping.
Okay,
the
fair enough.
So basically, whatever we were just talking about was jumping the shark. Also, at some point, Matau says, "Oh, those fire types always wanted to tell stories," or maybe Iruni says that.
Yeah, it was Iruni.
One of the green ones said, "Yeah, Mickey Rooney."
No,
Sure.
it was Vakama. Vakama says, if there's one thing I can't stand, it's someone who does nothing but share stories all day
No,
long.
we're talking about two
Yeah, but-
different quotes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a different
Okay.
quote where one of the green boys says, "Oh, those fire types, they always want to tell stories. Norik's gonna tell you some stuff
right,
about
yeah.
aminals." And I'm Scottish in spirits videos, but I don't know how to do a Scottish accent.
There's a bit later in the book that I like that's the guy tells Nuju again, hey, maybe you should talk to birds and shit. And Nuju's like, no, that's
No.
dumb, that's stupid. And the guy's like, Nuju,
Fuck
I know
off,
you are
Clueless,
wise,
I'm
but
not
you're
talking
also dumb.
birds.
Yeah.
In addition to Nuju, another aspect of Nuju being just a total dumbass, which is a running thing we got going on, he thinks bats are birds.
Yeah.
I mean, they fly. So what's the difference?
Bird fly. Yeah, but that whole sequence of Koala Man talking to Nuju about stuff, and like he says, look at the ice bats, aren't they beautiful?
I'm sorry, but I need you to put Guonam on the screen right now.
See, I was thinking he was.
Isn't it beautiful?
Golly.
See, when he was talking about the ice bats being beautiful and so aerodynamically designed and just perfect creations of nature, all I was thinking of the canon build of bats in Matanui.
The bats,
The Legend of Matanui. Yeah, like, I built it in Lego Digital Designer, I screenshot it, I posted it on Twitter and said, look at the bats, aren't they beautiful? Perfect creations of nature, or whatever the fuck the quote was.
Yeah. Oh dear.
And apparently the ice bats were mentioned in the Rahi Beasts character encyclopedia, but we don't get a photo, so I don't know if they're actually the build from Legend of Matanui that's actually kind of shitty.
Yeah. Speaking of that, the Rahi Beasts Encyclopedia, that is something that was optional reading for this week. I don't know if anybody
I read
really
it.
went through it all that much.
I didn't have a chance.
I
I
read
had
it.
no time.
I actually read the narrative portion of the required reading a week early, and I read the Rahi. I read the Rahi Bird.
Nice. Yeah, I
Nice.
read the first few entries on it. Didn't get all the way through, but yeah,
I read
that
the whole
book
thing.
is very interesting. I'd say it's definitely not. I mean, obviously, it's not required for understanding of the story. Like,
I never-
none of the creatures that
I never
appear
read
in
it.
it ever come up again without being explained in the text. So you don't really need to know
I never
anything.
read it again. I never read it as a kid.
I got it basically when it came out, so it's always just been a thing. It's great for world
I
building,
don't
though.
know. I didn't really like character Encyclopedia as much as a kid.
Oh, wait.
I liked reading the books.
Fair enough.
Or watching the movies, or basically anything, the narrative, the...
Yeah.
I
That's
really
okay.
want a similar guide of the creatures from Made in Abyss.
Yeah, that would be real nice. But, oh well. Maybe one day.
Season 2 hype.
Yeah, boy. Anyway, so... Yeah. The next bit of the book. Wherever that was.
Birds.
Bards, yeah.
More
More
birds!
birds. Oh yeah, there's no karma.
Hello, welcome to Gathered Birds. Today we'll be talking about the legend of Birdie Nui.
Bards.
The legend of Batanui.
So there's
Bats!
this bit where Nokama just like completely misses Garki's point, where Garki's like, "Hey, you know, you're getting kind of like hostile and easily jittered," and Nokama's like, no, what are you talking about? Shut up. I'm fine."
No, I love that. It's like, hey, Nakama, you're getting your Hordika side starting to show through. Shut the fuck up!
I am perfectly rational.
Yeah, they constantly do that throughout the book as well, and like, they clearly know that it's happening, but they won't acknowledge it at all.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, it
because they're one half animal and one half children.
I mean, it's a big fear, like, you know, losing control of your own actions. Like, I can understand why they'd be in denial
Yeah.
about it.
And this is like the Hordika arc is the first time that Vakama's like the reason that his tales are so hard to relay to the Toa is because this part like none of the Toa enjoyed this part. Like they didn't enjoy any of
Yeah,
it.
they did.
But this part in particular.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah.
Well,
Not
probably
Gali,
did.
fucking Nokama was like, oh my god, I'm a super
Prob-
surfer now.
No, I mean they probably didn't enjoy their home being
this
destroyed.
part, yeah.
Oh, no.
Yeah, but like
No, they were not having
yeah,
fun.
like the this whole Hordika arc, like clearly this is like not fun for Kama. So this is like the first time that he's all like, I want to tell you about the good old days, but they're bad days. And then he just relates all the days, and they're all like really cool and stuff. And Tahu's all like, yeah, well why were you so bothered by this? And then because this is actually like kind of okay. And then it was like, and I was raped by spiders.
Moving on.
And then Tahu was all like, okay, I see it now.
Fair enough, I can see why you would.
I understand. The other Toa must hear this.
I had spider juice in places I didn't know I had places.
The spider juice gave me places I didn't know I had.
Do you think they gained any
It
extra
changed
holes
my
from
body
this?
so that I had
Into
more.
Gappy.
The spider juice turned me into a thing with more holes to put spider juice
I
in.
got a cloaca.
I had a cloaca, and to this day I still don't actually know what that
For the
is.
first time ever,
But I
I
have one.
experienced what it's like to excrete.
Explain, we keep getting teases that Rahi can reproduce and shit because they have like children and young Rahi in the universe and stuff.
Yeah.
So can it be implied that when the Toa are turned into Hordika, they just suddenly have genitalia?
They have half genitalia, which is worse.
They have Liam. That's what a cloaca
Oh,
is.
jeez. Now I understand Mato's plight. He's running around with half a dick.
The left half specifically.
Yeah, cloaca is like a reptile genital.
Oh dear.
Oh, we're gonna get more into that later.
We're demonetized.
I like how that's a thing that we are actually going to bring up later because it is relevant.
Yep.
Anyway, so yeah,
I've
so
had this sitting in my notes for a long fucking time now.
oh dear.
Do you know what you have to do to get an arm this long?
Get made by Miramax.
So, moving back to the more innocent side of furries, Whenua just wants to be a wolf boy. He sees wolves howling at the moon and he's like, boy, I want to do that. Can I just go do that instead of, like, responsibilities and shit?
Excuse me, may I please take this second to a woo?
Bomanga, the Rohaga of Earth is like the most grumpiest of them, and I love him.
No, like half the time he doesn't even acknowledge that Whenua is there.
Yeah.
Yeah, you just shove things at Whenua and say, think about it.
He's like, you're the museum piece now.
Here's the thing, look at it. And then Whenua's all like, well, I don't understand. And then what? And then Pomonga's all like, do it!
Yeah, Pomonga's literally just trying to keep Wenua's brain busy so he doesn't turn into an animal quicker.
I love him! He's great!
Yeah.
I kind of like that because out of all the Toa, Whenua has spent the most time with Rahi, so it stands to reason that in the way his mind works, he'd be the most susceptible to turning into one.
Yeah.
Yep.
No, it's not like he spent all his time with Rahi. He spent all his time researching Rahi. Like, there's kind of a difference.
The thing is, he knows
Yeah, but he still has thousands and thousands of Rahi fumbling around in his psyche at any given time.
Yeah, the reason he wants to hang out with the wolves is because because he spends so much time learning about wolves.
Yeah. I would have thought he'd be the least susceptible. I would have thought he'd be the first one to notice his own Rahi behavior as the person who observes them.
Yeah, so there's a point here where he's rifling through some artifacts and stuff, and he's just carelessly throwing shit all over the place, and Pomonga's not like, wow, he used to really love this stuff, and now look at him.
Yeah.
Half the Toa suddenly love destroying shit. They're just like, let's break that tower. It sounds like fun.
They make references to that quite a few times, to be fair.
Yeah, it happens with Nakama as well.
Yeah. Hey, we should tear this building down. What purpose does that serve? It would be fun. Like, they're not wrong, but...
They're not.
But it's
how
not
much
the
more
right
can
way.
they fuck the city up?
Yeah, I was going to say, like, there's at least some semblance of logic to this. It's like, well, it's already fucked, and we're abandoning it for indefinitely as far as we know. So what the hell good is it going to do to be careful?
The city is definitely enabling their bad behavior.
But yeah, I love it.
They all need assbows, to be honest.
And anyway, then like every single one of the Toa, or at least half of them, finds some stuff that they just makes them scary.
Yeah, so they all, well, like I say, most of them independently find these little clues that maybe they weren't supposed to be Toa after all. Of course, Kraka planted all of these in easy to find locations, so that they would find them.
Supposedly they are all factual as far as everyone
none
knows.
of it's a lie. Kraka just made it easier to find.
And they say this, but like, Toa Likan clearly in the note that he left said, I'm getting suspicious about these fucking sneaky boys. Maybe I should trust someone who isn't a sneaky boy.
We're going really out of order and should talk about the Nakama sequence where she finds the things.
Yeah. There is a story to be told.
It's very interesting.
Josie, I'm surprised out of everyone in this chat, I did not expect you to be the one to attempt to get things back on track. I'm almost impressed.
Nakama finds the names of the Matoran that were supposed to be Toa behind some great masks that were meant to be worn by Toa.
What does she do with those masks?
That?
Does she just leave them there?
Maybe.
I'm pretty sure those are the masks that they were supposed to hide for the TuragaNuva.
They gathered a bunch of them up. That was like their task for going there.
Yeah, and those were the masks that they took, I believe.
I just thought that was really interesting. That the Toa Metru were probably supposed to wear the masks that eventually the Toa Mata would
you know what? I never picked up on the fact that those are the Toa Mata masks. I just thought they were spare masks that they ended up using for Matoran.
Oh no, they probably were.
No, they like gathered them up specifically because they were like, well, we're gonna need masks at some point. Like, we've got six between us.
Neat.
Apparently, they had like that was a vault for spare masks, and like there were a shit ton of powerless Matoran masks, but there were some great masks in there, stuff that did stuff.
Okay. But yeah, first of all, to even get into that room, Nakama had to defeat a Gate Guardian, which has
was
the
just a tiny little rabbit thing.
It has the stupidest power imaginable.
Kazijin, something
Okay.
raw.
He's literally
Gate Guardian.
Okay, he's almost literally the canonization of a bug in Legend of Matanui. Where, like, we were just talking about this in the dev chat before we started recording. There's a bug in the beta where if you place an item pickup floating in the air, its actual graphic will be offset from its original position. So it'll still be there. You can still see it on the ground, but you can't pick it up unless you jump to where it was floating before.
Yeah. Huh. So the Gate Guardian, it can't actually turn itself wholly invisible, but it can make itself look really small. Which,
or if you want to get really, really dumb, this enemy's power is literally that it has a bad hitbox.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yep.
This enemy is Super Smash Brothers Brawl incarnate.
If I had been thinking better, I would have put in my notes the Gate Guardian summoning poem from Yu-Gi-Oh! To just interrupt the podcast with here. You can insert me saying that later.
Sure, why not?
Or you can insert Caramelldansen.
I mean, I'll probably do that too. You know me. And Caramelldansen, my favourite song of the internet.
Flashback to that picture you sent me of the morph suit.
Barry, just put a cheeseburger on screen!
And play Base Hunter.
Meanwhile, Groucho and Birdspeak are slicing up shoots. So...
It just sounds like they're doing drugs in the toilet, not gonna lie.
They could be doing that.
Yeah. So yeah, Koalas and Nuju they're looking for propulsion systems for these new airships, and Nuju has the bright idea of using basically sections of chutes, and I guess using them kind of like a shaken up soda can, where you just store up all this pressure and then let a little bit out, and it shoots forward.
I never thought of it like that.
I mean, that's literally what it's supposed to do.
They're going to get the Matoran back to fucking Matanui with bottle rockets.
Elements of thunder, water, and wind, Suijin, Sangha, Kazijin begin. Meld your powers in eternal light. Show these fools your unstoppable might. He is pain beyond description. He'll mark the graves with your inscription. Bonkles!
Send you to fisting again.
Liam,
I'll do that in this server.
That's it. I finished. I finished. Yes! There are no fisting where we're going.
So, so yeah, to slice up this shoot, apparently, like, this is like a regular thing that gets done in Metro Nui because there's a sword lying around specifically designed to cut through shoots. I don't understand how that works. Like, how do you slice through an electromagnetic field that's holding a shoot in place?
Can we canonize that it's just a giant cake knife?
Sure, why not?
Except like that cutting the shoots apart is like cutting a roll of cookie dough.
Yeah.
Oh no, except those...
filled with jelly.
It's not filled with jelly, it's filled with spiders. Because
it can be both.
As soon as they cut it open, just thousands of Sukorak start pouring out.
Alright, thumbnail. You gotta have cookie dough, a roll of cookie dough with Vizrock pouring out of it.
Oh yeah. Oh dear.
That's the worst image.
Or just regular spiders, just subvert expectations.
Could do, yeah.
Oh god.
That's even more horrifying.
Regular spiders are
point.
so much worse. Regular spiders are so much worse than giant spiders. I just remembered that there are canon inflation porn spiders.
Oh,
Yeah, we need to
Bionicle.
talk about that.
We need to talk about this. I was making a reference chart of all the Viserock because their names are stupid and I really needed this.
Yeah, Bulgarok just
Bulgarok?
sounds like a British insult.
I
Excuse
used
me.
to think Bulgarok was the red one, but then I looked it up and it wasn't. Anyway, so they have a Ratuka spinner that does different things depending on whether or not you're in water. Makes sense because they're the water ones. Now, so when you're in water and it hits you, what it does is it just makes you more buoyant. So you rise up to the top of the water, so you're easier to catch. But for whatever reason, Lego or Bionicle or Greg or somebody in their infinite wisdom decided to use the word inflation to name this Ratuka power.
Yep.
And that is accurate. It inflates you. It causes you to inflate so that you rise up to the top of the water. They could have just called it the buoyancy Ratuka, but they called it the fetish word instead.
I don't understand how that
And,
came to be. Like, how does that go through
Yeah.
board meetings and approval processes and
I mean,
no
to
one
be
bring it
fair,
up?
This
Like,
was 2005. I'm pretty sure a lot of these things didn't even have names back then.
According to Urban Dictionary, the earliest use of the term inflation porn recorded was 2006. So
Well, there you go.
It's pretty likely that there may have been some of it earlier.
You
Maybe it
heard
wasn't
it
as well known.
The folks, the Viserock are responsible for inflation porn.
Yep. Bionicle Hordika, whatever the arc is called, but Bionicle Hordika land happened, and then inflation.
well,
On a similar note,
No, I'm just imagining like a really shitty reboot of Nintendo Land, but it's just Metro Nui and the Viserock.
Curtis, put up art of the inflation porn Sonic OC.
Please don't.
I'm
you say
vetoing that
the
right
inflation
now.
I
before.
think that one's name is Johnny the Hedgehog. You can believe that if you want.
I don't want to believe it. No.
There's a lot more than
I said
one,
bleep.
Josie. You realise.
You can bleep that if you want. Is what I said.
yeah, I just want to take a moment to just consider the sheer shitstorm that will occur on DeviantArt if for half a second in this new movie Sonic takes his shoes off.
Oh god, no. He's already taken his gloves
So,
off. What's next?
So apparently Sonic has a pile of shoes in his wherever he lives. Just has a pile of spare shoes. Because his shoes aren't really magical, so I imagine they wear out pretty quickly. So there will invariably be a scene where we see Sonic without his shoes.
I did
The
some
internet
research
will
on.
crash for 3 days.
So, according
Yes.
to some Googling I did the last week, apparently the average distance a shoe can last is generally about 500 to 600 miles. So if Sonic's running backwards and forwards across America, he's going to have to replace them like every few minutes.
He says in that bullet time sequence that he's run 9 million steps today.
Okay, so a quick
Oh, yeah.
Google search for Sonic foot porn brings up 3,520,000 results. Imagine.
I'm pretty sure.
Imagine what will
I'm
occur.
pretty sure there's a scene in Sonic Boom where Sonic licks Iggy's feet.
What?
I don't know if it's real or
Excuse
not.
me.
I don't know if it's real or not.
Well, if it is
a
real, it's on
marketing
screen right now.
exec- If it is, a marketing exec definitely got fired.
Moving
from
swiftly
Sega?
along.
Are you sure?
Yeah,
I don't think they fire people at Sega.
let's get back to the book with the inflation spiders.
Yeah, inflation. Yeah, inflation.
Please
points
never say that
Oh,
again.
and what the Ratuka does when you're above what the inflation Ratuka does when you're above water is it dehydrates you so you crumble in the dust.
Oh.
Oh.
Daddy Sidorak, put me in your pod.
Moving on.
So, Wenua eventually finds a tablet detailing what the Visorak are, because that's the thing that he was vaguely remembering in the last bit of the book. And to
clarify, listeners, this is a stone
yes,
tablet,
yes,
not an iPod tablet. iPad.
Yeah. Yes.
Because they don't have...
Even though they showed it in the movie,
modes of
it's not
writing.
canon. They still write on stone.
Greg said so. Nova Blasts from the game are canon, but not efficient modes of communication.
Damn it, Greg. But yes, so he finds this tablet. It's got info about the Visorak. It's a bit scratched up, so he can't read all of it. But it basically says, yeah, they're not from around here, and they invade places a lot, which is basically all stuff that the Rahaga could have told him. Yeah, that's it, really.
They've been following them for...
It was a very helpful exposition dump. Thank you, Greg.
Yeah. Yeah, so, okay. So they're talking about getting discs to help make the airships fly, and so apparently they use levitation and increase weight discs in unison to make the airships fly, which, now, call me crazy, but wouldn't that just make the airships really, really dense and unstable after a while?
So
No,
I'd
you
assume that
increase the weight that the levitation can hold.
No, the increased weight disc doesn't, they don't...
It's like
it doesn't-
ballasts.
Yeah, the increased weight discs don't activate unless they need to increase the weight of the ships.
Yeah, I
in
was
order
gonna
to
say,
fly
that
down.
makes sense.
it basically works like a submarine.
Yeah, exactly what I was going to say.
Yep.
More like a hot air balloon.
It's like it's
Okay, but what I'm saying
No.
is
No,
levitation...
No, it's a hot air submarine.
Yes, that's exactly what it is.
Yeah, but okay. What I'm saying is, I don't think that levitation and increased weight are like natural opposites. So, like, the levitation disc doesn't make it lighter; it just makes it float. It's like lifting it. So,
Yeah.
if you're increasing the weight of the airship by using the increased weight discs, then by using the levitation discs to make it go back up again, it's still got that increased weight. So over time, it would just become really, really heavy, but being held up by the power of like thousands of levitation discs.
So I'd assume they just activate them as and when required, and can. I don't know if they can deactivate them, but it would
Yeah,
make
do they
sense
wear
if
off?
Could.
They probably have them attached to like jumper cables or something.
So I'd guess like you could vary the weight to slow how fast you go up, because sometimes you want to go up quickly, and obviously with that you'd want less weight but more levitation. If you want to go up but still slowly, just add more weight but have still a greater upwards force with the levitation discs. That's my
Apparently,
guess.
yeah, apparently Kanoka discs work if you just bash on them real hard. So I assume they just like have them attached to their vehicle by like jumper cables, and they just run electricity through them as needed.
No, I'm just imagining that it's like they're set up like the keys of a piano, or better yet, like a harpsichord, where it's just got like a little mini hammer that like you push something on the control panel and it just whacks the disc.
It's actually
just whacks it into the hole.
It's just someone with a
So
guitar.
what we're establishing here is that the airships at the end of this arc are basically hot air balloon submarines that you steer using a harpsichord.
Sure.
This is the new canon.
We're writing the new canon.
Greg can't stop us.
Greg can't stop us. He won't. Apparently, he gave up on Bionicle years
Greg will
ago.
probably make this canon.
Ask him nicely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Greg, he is such a weirdo.
Well, I guess.
He likes making random declarations, yeah.
He's
Anyway,
been doing that again on TTV boards.
he has, hasn't he? Yeah.
Yeah.
I haven't caught up much with his answers on that, but
Apparently, there's a whole website that archives Greg statements.
That's amazing.
it's called like oh god, what's it called?
Greg
Yeah, it's
Archives.
literally the Greg
The Greg
Archives,
I-
isn't it?
Greg.com.
The Greg Archives Greg.com. I'm gonna see what Greg.com goes to, and hopefully it doesn't crash my computer.
Probably just go to like Greg or something.
Greg.com.
It's
The greatest thing I've ever seen in my entire
Search
life.
out.
So we're an hour in.
Yeah.
Just pointing that out.
Okay.
Greg.com!
Oh my god, Greg.com, I love it. That guy, he's so happy to be here.
This website uses cookies to improve user experience!
What user experience?
Okay, I gotta go to the bathroom. You can take this time to...
You can't just dump this on us and then go take a piss.
I mean, I was gonna say, I'm gonna go to the bathroom and you guys can get the podcast on track while I'm away. But I guess if you want me to stick around and ruin the podcast harder, I can.
Go do your business.
Okay, this guy needs to be the thumbnail. No, I'm claiming him. Craig.com was my idea. I'm him for this episode.
No.
Greg,
the way this guy's hands are positioned, he needs to be holding the cookie dough that's spewing spiders.
Yes! I have to pee now. I'm gonna go pee. I'm gonna go pee. Liam, open your mouth.
It was fate that we found this site.
So, after a quick introduction to the Kagarak, which we'll get more into later, then we get to a bit where Iruni is like, yeah, we was Toa and shit. That's a thing that we used to do. I'm just, the other guys, they want to find Kitongu or whatever, or save Rahi. I just want to kill Sidorak. Can you help me do that, Matao? So, I mean, that never really goes anywhere, but Iruni's a vengeful fuck.
And Matao, because he's now an absolute bastard and likes to kill everything that crosses his path, of course he says yes.
Yeah, obviously. But yeah, then Onewa discovers a Makuta lair, where he also learns about not being real Toa. Vikama breaks and enters Likan's house, because he has no respect for personal property anymore. Although, I guess Likan is dead, so what's he gonna do about it?
Be very disappointed.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Are we
I
gonna
died to save your life and now
talk
you're
about
in my
the big
house.
twist regarding this, or are we just going to ignore that?
I mean, I guess if you want to get into it now, sure. Yeah, so the Toametru, as we know them, were not, in fact, the original Destined Six.
So then Matau says, "Mommy, I don't want to go to school today."
Excuse me?
So the Toametru are not the original Destined Six, who were meant to become Toametru. Instead, the guys who found the Great Discs were supposed to be, which, I mean, I'm not sure if that would have worked any better or worse, because
much worse.
They don't seem to get along very well either, so...
I'd be interested to see a story arc where they do cover how that would pan out if it happened.
Yeah, like an alternate universe thing.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to get into too much detail, because it is at the end of the canon, and it will spoil things. My headcanon for how Bionicle G1 could continue if they chose to revisit it is these Matoran becoming Toa.
Why?
Because of the stuff we know about the plans that they had for Akmu becoming Toa.
Okay. That still doesn't correlate to anything being a good story to continue the end of the canon on.
You're being deliberately obtuse. You know what I mean.
I know what you mean, and I'm telling you that it's a bad idea.
Liam, you can make anything into a bad idea. This is a book about spiders turning the Toa into furries, and I like it. Swart hates it. I like it.
Yeah. So anyway, the point of the matter is, Lacan changing his mind and not making the disc finders into Toa was all a trick by Makuta. He planted the thought in Lacan's head and said, "Ha, I bet he'll go pick these other guys who hate each other."
We don't find that out until the end of this book.
I mean, we would.
And by end of the book, I mean end of all of book 5. We don't find that out until
No, that was in this part.
I already knew that.
It was?
Yeah.
I didn't notice. I must be an idiot. I don't know how to read.
Okay.
If it was at the end of book 5, how would you have known if we haven't gotten there yet?
I would have known. Because I know things about the canon, Liam.
Except this.
I run a whole Twitter account where I just spout trivia at people. I know what I'm talking about. I run a Twitter account! I know what I'm talking about!
Okay, Karen.
Whenever a sentence starts with "on Twitter," you just know that it doesn't matter.
Yep. Did you know that on Twitter people think that I'm smart? I'm just so confused whenever people tell me I'm great, and then I'm like, among my friends, I am the dumb one.
Laughs in Minecraft.
So,
And people also think Liam is like some sort of mysterious god guy.
is he not?
No, not
No,
really.
he's an idiot.
Well, you've been fooling me this whole time.
Yeah, Liam, count to 12. See? He can't even count! He's not smart. 1, 5, 11, 12.
I mean, you got there.
Thanks, Cracker.
I did it.
So, yeah, so Koalas and Nuju, they finally escape from all those spiders by riding on Gokko back, which, you know, Koalas is like, oh, hey, this is a thing we can do, and Nuju's like, God, no, I hate this, but maybe it's useful. So that's how... That's kind of double foreshadowing to both Nuju learning to respect birds and also bird riding on Matanui.
Amazing quote around
Yeah,
that sort of
apparently
point where he's like, you haven't lived until you've ridden a Gokko, and you're not dead yet.
Yep.
Apparently, before this point, up to this point, no one in the history of Metro Nui had ever ridden a bird.
I mean, why would you?
They're very big.
I suppose?
The first... In early history, the first thing that man did when he saw a T-Rex would think, I want to ride that.
I'm sorry to
And then
break
the
this
next
to you,
thing-
Josie.
I know.
Do you
Yeah.
know?
T-Rex...
Jurassic
I know.
Park,
Man
not
and
real.
Man and T-Rex did not exist at the same time in history. I understand.
Jurassic Park does not real.
Yeah, I understand. T-Rexes went extinct in the far future, and it's fine.
I'm sorry to
Welcome
break it
the
to you, but
Nanosaur
T-Rexes...
Let's play.
I'm sorry to break it to
Welcome.
you, but T-Rexes were actually really small and they ride on humans' backs.
Yeah, exactly. This has been learning with friends.
Yeah. So Bomonga and Wanua, they get ambushed. They get ambushed by
They get ambushed.
They get
turned
Amish?
They get
They get attacked
Amish.
by a group
What?
of men with
Oh,
beards
shit.
wielding
Oh my god!
hammers.
Wait a minute. They actually do become Amish because Matanui society is a lot less technical than Metro Nui. So in a way, they do get Amish.
they do get Amished. Yeah.
Yeah, they use technology on Matanui, but not a whole lot of it. And contrary to popular belief, the Amish do use some technology.
Yeah, a flash mob just builds a barn around them in 3 seconds and they can't get out.
In fact, did you know that the Amish ride buses?
What? Don't they...
Every so often, I'm on a walk and I just see a group of Amish people around the bus stop waiting for a bus.
They're not
There's
Amish.
a tradition
They're like-
for Amish people when they come of a certain age, like 16 or so, where they're sent out into actual, like, they're sent out into the civilized world. Not to imply that
Yeah.
they're not civilized, but they're sent out into, like, the modern world to decide whether or not they want to stay Amish.
Oh, see, Liam, these aren't babos. They are full-grown adult. There should be a movie that's like one of those cartoon movies where, oh no, cartoons, they're in the real world, but it's Amish people instead of cartoons.
I'm pretty sure that's the plot of an A&E reality show.
Isn't that just the plot of the Smurfs 2011?
Yes, exactly. The Smurfs 2011, but Amish. Amish people instead of
So
blue
are you
Amish
saying
people.
that we're merging. We're basically doing, like, tiny little Amish people.
We're saying that all the Smurfs are Garmatorum.
Sonic the Hedgehog movie, but it's Amish people. Well, don't you know? I think I have to save your planet.
They're not fast. They're just a lot of them.
Living in an Amish paradise.
Look at me. I wear a hat and I don't use the iPhone. That's why Coolio's song is in the trailer. Don't you know?
Why are they exclusively Canadian now?
Minnesotan.
What's the difference?
That accent is apparently from Minnesota because Liam is from Canada and he doesn't sound like Linkara's mom.
Minnesota is basically Canada.
Yeah, exactly.
Minnesota has a mall that's so big it has its own zip code. That's where the joke comes from. Like, it's real. It's a mall, it's got a zip code, and a Lego store. And it's the first Lego brand store Lego ever opened.
Huh.
Well, how about that?
I was at a Lego store grand opening, and I almost won a trivia contest. I almost won a free Batcave at a trivia contest. Because
a free Batcave?
In real life?
I knew. Yeah, in real life. I knew all the answers to the trivia questions, but I didn't want to... It's like a no professionals allowed kind of thing, at least to me. But then they offered auction off a Batcave, and I'm like, fuck this, I'm answering that trivia question, and I fucked it right up. They asked, what was the first Lego brand store? And I knew the answer, but I forgot the name of the goddamn state.
It's okay. The joke's on the winner. They didn't realize that it was an actual cave full of bats.
I said Missouri instead of Minnesota. God damn it.
I mean, you should probably be hung for that.
It was even that one Batcave that had the light gray and blue colored Batman minifigure. My favorite one. I wanted it. Anyway, we're talking about Bionicle, not
Tales
Batman.
from Josie's desperate past over.
Oh yeah, we read a book, didn't we?
Did we?
Oh yeah. So Bomonga.
Hold on.
And Winua.
What
Shadow
what is that?
Realm.
What is that sound?
Kagarak.
Yeah, Alan,
Zippity
fuck
zap.
off.
Sorry.
What are you doing? What is
I'm flattening tinfoil from a chocolate egg I've been eating because
Why are you doing that during the podcast? What possessed you to think that this was the correct
While
time
I'm
for that?
recording.
didn't realize it was that loud.
Anyway, so the big spiders can send people to the Shadow Realm.
Yeah. That seems a little bit overpowered.
Apparently their conservation status is uncommon. So like they're rarer than the other Viscera.
Yeah.
But
I mean, we only see like
I-
3, so yeah.
Yeah, we only see like 3, and apparently, out of fucking nowhere, the books canonize that the Kagarak had 3 different sets.
What?
It is canon that the Kagarak have the most biodiversity of the Viscerax.
Oh.
Apparently their colors are variable, and I guess all 3 of the set forms of the Kagarak are canon.
Oh, okay.
So what that means we got?
So like there's one that's just a combiner of two other Viscerac. There's one that's like a chibi form that had the Mask of Shadows and gold for some reason.
Oh, that one.
And then there's one that came in the set of the Colosseum that was actually what they probably look like. But then I read this book and I'm like, oh, they're all canon. Why?
Okay.
Yeah, so it's canon that the Kagarak are blue or white, or blue or gold, or tiny and have a cannon strapped to them.
Yeah, sure.
Fucking...
Wait.
What?
So is the one that comes with the
Does it rock
the
Battle
old?
Ram?
Yes, that one. Because obviously I know the Battle Ram's canon, but what about the alternate model that's got the catapult on the back? Is that canon?
I haven't looked into that. I think so.
I know it's a catapult, but is it canon?
Maybe. I haven't looked into it. I'm a cat.
Meow.
I'm just so floored that out of all the things in the sets that are not canon, like there's so many sets that have details in them that aren't canon, and like it's so weird. And then the Kagarak, they were like, Well, one of these is obviously supposed to be the Kagarak, but we're just going to say all three of them are the Kagarak.
Huh.
I think the one with the Colosseum should be the one that's canon. But apparently, all of them are.
Well, there we go.
It's weird.
But anyway, so one of those does end up sending Whenua and the other one to the Shadow Realm. And there they meet Pegasus, the creator of Duel Monsters. well, while they're in there, they meet another Kagarak, because apparently they can send each other to the Shadow Realm by accident.
Yeah. And apparently they can't just release themselves to the Shadow Realm, even though they should be able to. So this Kagarak is just wandering around looking for a fucking door!
Yeah.
Apparently there's a door outside the Shadow Realm.
Well, okay, so I assumed that was another Kagarak opening a portal to let that one out.
That would imply they have some sort of link into the Shadow Realm in the first place, though, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
That is neat.
But yeah, so the two boys, they have to like hold hands the entire way to make sure they don't lose each other, because this place is so black and silent that you cannot see or hear anything.
Except a Kagarak like 7 feet away, apparently.
Yeah.
They're gold, so maybe they're shiny.
Were they gold, or were they white, or were they blue?
Or did they have a cannon structure?
I mean, I'm just going to assume that like eyes and heart lights are still visible.
Oh shit, yeah.
That's true. They do glow, so that's the thing.
That makes sense. It all makes sense.
Yeah. Anyway. So Kraka is she's been going around planting seeds of destruction everywhere, and Pooks eventually catches her, and he's like, what the hell are you doing? And she's like, I'm not bad, don't hurt me.
But
he's
we
like,
completely glossed over the introduction of this scene where we first find out in the first and only time in canon where it's confirmed that Muaka and Kanira have interacted with each other.
Oh
yeah.
Shit! You're right.
Which actually,
that was a thing.
I've always
these two Rahi they came together in one set, and this is this book 4 years later is the only time in canon they ever interact.
I didn't expect the cat to be the natural hunter of the bull, but here we are. Like,
I mean, have you ever been to Mexico? They have a huge problem with cats eating their bulls whole.
Mexico isn't real.
You're not real.
No.
Well, yeah, of course Mexico isn't real, because the cats ate the whole country whole.
That's why the wall wants to be built.
The cat just unhinges his jaw and opens real wide and swallows up the whole country.
Damn it, Josie, we've already had inflation. We don't need vor on this podcast as well.
Well, too bad we have it now, because a cat being the natural predator of a bull requires vor.
No.
I mean, are we just going to ignore the fact that wild cats do regularly hunt bison and stuff like that?
Yes, we are going to ignore that.
Yeah, I mean, that is a thing. So.
Okay, I guess we don't require vor, or do we?
Vsauce music.
Leave a comment. Leave a comment on this web zone if you would like a vor.
Yeah. So yeah, Pooks is like, hey Kraka, you know, I've probably seen like a whole island full of people like you. So be good. And Kraka's like, okay, that makes sense. I'm gonna follow you now.
Didn't Kraka think that all of their people died?
Something like that, yeah.
Kraka thinks she's the last of her kind, and Pooks says, hey, maybe you're not the last of your kind. And then she's like, okay, I'll betray the scary snake lady.
I mean, she was always planning to betray the scary Rudaka lady.
Yeah, even Rudaka expected Kraka to betray her.
Yeah.
Like I don't know what the point of any of it was. Like, hey, I know you're gonna betray me, but do this thing.
That whole plot thread literally only existed to create the drama amongst the Hordika and set up the plot of the next book in the movie.
Yeah.
They couldn't just find all that information themselves. They had to have it. This is stupid. I love this book.
I've said it many times before, and I'll say it again. Christian Faber and Alistair Swinnerton, they told stories in a show don't tell kind of way, more like Metroid. Greg has to have a detailed bullshit explanation for absolutely everything, and this is the point in the plot where it really starts to shine through.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's like Pook's. I love the ambiguity in Pook's talking to Crocker. Like, hey, I think that I might have seen more of you somewhere.
Yeah.
Also,
that's enough.
Join our side.
Didn't at that point Crocker turn into a snake, and then Pooks was like, "Hey, that's not a snake," and just started chasing it.
Yeah, he was literally like, "You need to work on your slithering."
Like, there's like 4 or 5 lines of that. Just, you need to slither better. What do you mean, slither better?
Yeah, basically,
more
this is like
snake.
a running gag. This book where every time she shapeshifts into stuff, people criticize her for it. Like, you're not a very good snake. You're not a very good Fisher-Rat. You're not a very good this. You're not a that.
And you wonder why I want to lure all Imatoran underground and seal them there.
Yeah.
She just can't handle criticism, dude.
No. She's a cosplayer, and everybody else in the entire universe is Twitter.
Worse yet, she is a DeviantArt cosplayer.
Oh no.
Oh God. Anyway, I love Crocker. She's my favorite cosplayer.
Anyway, so Iruni and Matau are holed up in an abandoned old building, looking for parts of some kind or whatever, and there's a lot of spiders outside, so they batten down the doors and everything. But Matau hears a voice coming from outside. It sounds like Nakama. Oh boy, better let her in so that she doesn't get eaten by the spiders. Oh no, she was the spiders.
For this, it's like my first note for this book. Matau loves Nakama, because it's clearly stated here that like he really likes Nakama as a friend, but quote, sometimes he wishes she could be more than that.
Mm-hmm.
What else is there if love is not canon? Greg, what the fuck are you doing?
Some rather lewd hand-holding.
I had just read this sentence when someone on Twitter was arguing with me about Greg and love and blah blah blah, and I said, well, if love wasn't canon, then Greg probably should have told himself that when he wrote Metro Nui. Fuck you.
Yeah. I mean,
but I was really tired at the time, so what I said instead of the smart way to say that was, well, Greg should have told Greg that before Greg wrote Greg.
yeah, I mean that's basically what he did.
Yeah, Greg all over the Greg.
Matau's relationship with Nakama is just like, at the time it felt like it was building to something, but looking back on it, especially after the whole love isn't canon thing, like, it's just poorly written. It doesn't build to anything, it doesn't pay off at all, it just exists. And that's kind of disappointing.
Well, obviously Matau got less horned when he became an old man.
He got erectile dysfunction.
Yeah, he got erectile
in his half penis.
He still has half a penis, even when he's not an Amino Man?
That's the one thing that was left after he got cured.
So, if he got transformed into a Hordika again, would he get an extra half a penis? Or would it be 50% more of a penis? So would it be like 3/4?
Even double Hordika.
Like
what happens if you get captured by the Vizirok and poisoned again?
You get more penises.
That's when you go full sicko mode.
Yeah. That's how echidnas were created. Yeah,
echidnas are just like quadruple Hordika hedgehogs.
To answer your question, Matau would not gain a full penis, but he would gain 50% more penis. He would just gain another instance of the same half of the penis that he already had.
So he'd just have like a bush of dongs by the end of it.
Yeah, it's like loot boxes. You gotta get poisoned by the Vizirek multiple times before you get the penis you want.
Excuse me?
It's like loot boxes. You gotta get poisoned by the Vizrak multiple times before you get the penis you want.
I can just imagine him like.
Said I didn't ask you to repeat it.
I'm just imagining him like injecting some Hordika venom. He's like, oh god damn it, another left half penis. I wanted a right one.
Hordika venom is like one of those shitty drugs that you just inject into your cock vein.
Hordika venom is like that one guy who was injecting semen into his veins because he thought it would be better.
What?
You didn't hear about that? There was this guy who was injecting semen into his veins because I think his arm was broken, and he thought that would help. No one knows why he thought that would help. That wasn't even part of folk. That even isn't even a thing of folklore. He just randomly thought, "Hey, what if I inject semen into my veins? That'll fix me right up."
I mean, semen makes babies, and babies grow.
Oh, wait, no, it wasn't his arm wasn't broken. I think it was like he had back problems or something.
Well, that's just stupid.
Something stupid as hell. Like, he just randomly thought, based on literally nothing, like not even bullshit that someone had come up with in the horse times. Basically, it was just like, yeah, semen, go right into the veins.
Okay, back to the book.
Eventually, it got infected because you're not supposed to do that. And he went to the hospital, and they were like, "Okay, why didn't you just come to us for the original problem? Why did you think to do this?" And he was like, I wanted to be on Nash's show." He didn't actually say that.
So,
Anyway,
yeah.
we're talking about... Anyway, so Matt Tower doesn't have a penis. Moving on.
So, yeah, so all of the Vizrak are closing in on Matau, and all of the other Toa realize that the Vizrak are going towards Lemetru, so they all follow the Vizrak. And so basically everyone's converging in this one spot in, I believe, southern Lemetru. And Nuju, you know, he touches down on the ground. He's like, okay, I'm going to go scout ahead, see what's going on. Oh no, invisible red spiders everywhere. Why can the Votarak turn invisible?
Yeah, so all of the Vizrak, except for the green ones, have an innate ability other than the Rotuka that they have that's unique. The invisibility ones are actually the brown ones.
Oh, okay. Well,
but
regardless.
their secondary color is red, so you're half right.
Well, regardless, like, why does everything in Bionicle have to have, like, 3 different powers? Why can't you just have one power and be done with it?
Kreka can fly.
Yeah. Kreka could fly. The Bogorok have a sonic hum that can apparently transmutate things.
What?
In addition
there was
to
a
their
Vaki.
fucking inflation powers.
Yeah, there was a Vaki that was trying to escape from some Vizrak because it already killed 4 of its squad, and it's like, well, I want to keep fighting, but I'm a robot, so so my programming says to retreat. And then it was climbing along some web like a tightrope for some reason, thinking that was a good idea. And then suddenly it heard a ringing, and it was all like, why am I stone now?
Oh yeah, that happened.
Yeah, it apparently turned a Vaki into stone with sound?
Okay.
Don't forget the Thanos snap effect that happened to one of the Vaki in this arc.
Oh yeah, we mentioned that last episode. But yeah, basically, when the Great Cataclysm happened, it sent a power surge through all of the Vaki hives. So any Vaki that were plugged in at the time, which was like half of them, basically got fried.
That's amazing.
And the rest of them, yeah, the rest of them, whether they like survived or just disconnected from the hives, turned crazy and gained a bunch of new powers for some reason.
So I think they already had the powers. They were just switched off because they were too basically, it's like how the Wii U could play GameCube disc, but they just turned that feature off for some reason.
Yeah, that was dumb.
I don't know why.
That was really dumb.
That was really dumb. Like, what? Like, if you just didn't have the GameCube in it, then it would be cheaper. But they did it stupid.
Well, they had the GameCube in it so that you could play Wii games, because the Wii was a GameCube, basically.
Yeah, but
well,
okay,
it's
so
because
the Vaki... So I have it in my notes here. the Vaki may be a lot more deadly and efficient now that they've short-circuited, but they're certainly a lot dumber. There's one that's exploring Tametru, and it tries to hide in the Visorak in a green and brown structure, and then it realizes, hey, wait a minute, Tametru, it the red place, it don't have green. And it turns out it's not a building. It was a Rahi, and I don't know if we're there yet.
I think we are basically there, yeah.
Pretty much.
Alright, so it turns out it's Potato Dragon.
Yeah, so Onewa and Pooks, they go and wake up the Tatarak, because that's still here. That hasn't moved, like, at all. And, yeah, so they're just like, hey, big guy, come help fight, or something.
Hey, the Visorak know the answer to that question you want answered so badly, and they don't want to tell you. Come help us.
Yeah, basically.
And, like, it doesn't... Taters doesn't have any reason to trust them, but he just does, because he's cool, I guess.
I like that. So, in the first bit of this chapter, there's a quote that says, "In a matter of seconds, it was no more than a wisp of silvery gas floating in the air, its awareness dispersed over millions of molecules." And then, after that, the rest of the Vaki go, "Oh shit."
Yeah.
And then one of them gets just crushed by the Tatarak that's incoming.
Yeah.
Taters is my favorite boy.
He is a good boy.
And meanwhile, while Onoa and Pooks are getting the Tatarak out of its hole, Hordika's just like, you know what? I'm bored. Let's summon the freaking Zivon.
Yep.
Or
So,
Zyvon, or however you're supposed to pronounce that.
So apparently, the reason that they have just a breed of Visorak that can open a portal to the Shadow Realm is because in the Shadow Realm, there's a giant scorpion.
Yep.
That it's...
I
think it's stated to be one of the largest Rahi in the universe.
It's technically more like a giant Cronenberg crab monster with a scorpion tail.
It's basically a kaiju, yeah, and it's a combiner model of at least 3 Visorak. I don't...
it's all 6.
Was it all... It was all 6, yeah. Alright, so it has the head of a Visorak in canon, apparently.
Yeah, there's a quote. Its head was pure spider.
Yep. Now, it has crab scorpion claws that are also Visorak, but apparently that's not canon. They're just claws. And apparently, it eats the Visorak, and the reason it fights for them is to protect its primary food source.
Yep.
And so, like, this is probably one of the most interesting and stupid things in all of Bionicle.
Like, pretty sure it says that after any given battle, it eats pretty much half of the Visorak it's been fighting alongside. Dead or alive, it doesn't matter. They taste the same, like, apparently.
They taste the same. I love it.
I guess they just have so many Visorak that they figure it's worth it. Like.
Yeah. Except here, it's just Hordika just does it. Hordika and Cinerak just unleash it because they're bored.
Yeah.
There's no reason.
Yeah, they were literally they had the upper hand, and they were just like, let's speed this along a bit.
Yeah. So basically, when they summon this thing, half of their army is inevitably going to die, whether they're successful or not. But it's worth it for the lulz.
Yep.
Yeah, so we got a fucking kaiju fight between Potato Dragon and Spider Scorpion.
Yeah, and they really go at it. Like, there's talk of like limbs being ripped off and chunks being torn out of them, and yeah, they really rip into each other, literally and figuratively.
Yeah. I love it.
Yeah, it's great. But, you know, while this is all happening, Winua and Bowmonga get out of the Shadow Realm by finding that convenient door that the other Kagarak walks out of. So, yeah, they're back in the real world. That's nice. And, yeah, we get our little Avengers Assemble moments where all the Toa meet each other. Yeah. And they figure out a plan. The plan is confuse and distract all these Visorak, because we can't beat them head on. So, let's see. Yeah, so we get the big kaiju battle. The Tatorak eventually, like, swings the Zivon around and rips its freaking tail off, which, presumably is the worst injury the Zivon has ever faced. And so it runs away, as you do. Then, and the Toa decides to take down this tower that the Visorak have made. And they do this by creating a pillar of, like, earth and stone around it, and just sealing the Visorak in there, just, cut them off by starvation, basically.
It wasn't starvation, it's because the only weakness that the Visorak are stated to have are their wild animals, and Rahi hate above all else being captured. So by keeping them in a chain, in a trap, they tend to eat each other, and apparently only 60 or so were left out of the hundreds.
So basically the Visorak's one weakness is claustrophobia and cabin fever.
Yeah, which is amazing.
And it was nicely foreshadowed earlier in the book as well, with Whenua having, similar feelings. So that's quite nice.
Whenua. I love this book. It's so stupid.
Imagine if that's how people worked. Imagine how airplanes would work.
There are people who have serious claustrophobia that can't ride planes.
I can
just take them all, put them on a plane.
Just Hunger Games.
And you got, yep, Hunger Games on a plane. Snakes on a plane too. Hunger Games on a plane.
Oh dear.
Spiders on a plane.
Yeah.
Spider-Man. Oh shit, he's on a plane.
Yeah. So Hordika and Sidorak, they just figure, well, the Zivon's dead, and the Visorak are all kind of, either killing each other or tuck it out. Let's retreat for now, and just let the Toa have this tower of Toa, if you will. And so the Toa do that. They pick off the remaining Visorak, take the tower for themselves, construct a mask as, like, the gate to the tower, which I don't know why they did that exactly.
To sell toys.
Yeah, sure.
Lego just wanted to justify in the budget because they don't like making new unique pieces that can only be used for in one set and then never again. So
and yet most of Bionicle has that.
We want to make a giant Kirill that we'll use as a gate for the Colosseum set, but we don't want to do this. So what they did was they just slapped it into any set it would fit in.
So
wasn't it only in one set?
It was in two sets.
What's that?
The Toa wasn't the Tower of Toa the same
Tower of Toa
Mascade
had
as
had Likon's How.
No. The Colosseum had Likan's How. The Tower of Toa had the Kirill.
Yep.
Why?
I'm looking at.
Should be the opposite of that.
No.
Why would the Colosseum not have a Kirill?
We don't know.
I don't know. Because Likan's the best one.
Yeah, Likon's the best one.
Yeah.
Alright, so it took me 4 attempts to figure out how to spell Tower of Toa. I don't know why. Okay, so the Tower of Toa was a black Kirill.
An interesting note that I have is that it said on the Tower of Toa that there was a portcullis in the actual mask, whereas in the actual set there is no portcullis in the mask, but on the Colosseum set for the Battle of Metro Nui, Lacan's How does have that portcullis in the front of it, which was...
the one in Battle of Metro Nui is Likon's How, but in red.
It's kind of dumb.
Yeah.
I could have sworn they were both the same mask.
No,
Alright.
I'm just going to chalk up the lack of portcullis in the Tower of Toa just to being a budget issue, to be honest.
Yeah, probably.
They didn't have enough parts.
We're going to shortcut the lack of a portcullis.
I just thought it was an interesting decision that was different between how it's written, at least, and the actual physical set design.
Yeah, fair enough.
While we're talking about this, So Libby, you're familiar with how Lego do, right? With the plastic and the studs and the such. Libby?
Libby, you there?
Oh no, he's dead.
Oh no.
Oh no, he's dead. Podcast over.
I guess if Levi's not coming back anytime soon, we should just carry on with the podcast.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Alright, here we go. Twitter.
So they take the tower, and Norik...
Ah, crap, I spelled friend wrong.
And Norik tells them, hey, you know how you can, like, elementally charge your spinners by bashing them with your tools? You can also do that to, like, anything. So just put your tools up against this tower, and you can elementally charge the surface to turn it into a booby trap for anyone who wants to attack it.
That's why the Tower of Terror doesn't come with a portcullis. The portcullis was the friends we made along the way. They can make a magic portcullis with elemental Barbie spinner toy energy.
So my question is, if they can like elementally charge things, then how can't they just like elementally charge a stick and use it as a sword or something?
Yeah, but they're animal lands, so they don't think of this.
I can't believe Levi is fucking asleep.
You know, we're just gonna keep this in.
Yeah. This is canon.
Oh! I'm gonna tell Swirt at Swirt. Levi fell.
Oh, he is actually. I thought
Yeah.
he's actually snoring.
Yeah, I know. Oh god, his recording's still going. When he wakes up, he's gonna have like 50 gigabytes of recording.
Oh no, he's gonna fill up his hard drive.
Oh god!
Oh, no.
What happens when you're recording audio when you fill up the hard drive? Does your computer just explode?
Oh, he's gonna fill up your RAM first.
Liam, you've blown up quite a number of computers in your time. What happens?
I mean, Audacity keeps track of how much space it's got left for recording, so I assume it'll stop before it gets to a dangerous level. But yeah.
Anyway,
I love it. You should just go perfectly straight with this. Just for however long he's asleep, just tack all of that snoring onto the end of the podcast.
Anyway, so I've messaged Swirt. I've let him know that Levi fell asleep during his least favorite
We're
year.
just making like a bonus video for the podcast. Yeah. Levi snores for 8 hours while I play unfitting music.
Yeah.
Skyrim soundtrack.
Oh my god.
No, like the Village ambient soundtracks.
I don't remember how Skyrim's theme goes. I also never played Skyrim because Toe of Time hasn't been towed yet.
Anyways.
There's a Bionicle mod for Skyrim, but it hasn't been updated yet, and also you can't really, and also Bethesda are assholes, and Steam game shakedown for these.
Excuse me.
Okay, so the original version of Skyrim that had all the mods in it, it's not. You can't search for the original Skyrim or any of the mods and DLC that are required for the Bionicle mod.
Oh.
Oh wait, what? That sucks.
So unless you just happen to already have the links to their Storm page, you cannot buy them. And so that means that I'll never get to play Skyrim as a Bionicle, because you can't mod the HD re-release.
You can. It's just a bit less flexible.
It doesn't have workshop support.
You don't need workshop support.
Which is where Bethesda fucked up. The only reason I would have ever bought Skyrim is to play as Bionicle, and they fucked it up.
Well.
Anyway.
You know who else is fucked up? These Toa, and they share notes about it. Onua's like, "Yep, we done fucked up," and Vikama's like, "Yep, we sure did," and so is Nokama.
Yep.
And everyone basically is like, "Yeah, we're all fucked in our own ways."
We're all fucked in our own ways, and then they go and break into Lee Khan's house.
No, that happened way earlier.
Oh fuck! Okay. Well, we skipped over it when we got there.
Well, no, you were. I think that was the part where you went away.
Oh.
Yeah.
So I'm imagining that Lee Khan's house was just an empty room with a file cabinet. Is that accurate? That seemed like what it was when I was reading.
Yeah, that's kind of all they described it as. Although I suppose
So-
this does confirm that the Toa do have some form of accommodation. So there you go, Liam. That's your thing.
Oh yeah.
So, in King of the Hill, in that one episode where Dale's making demands from some company, and they're all like, "Okay, what do you want?" And then he's all like, I wasn't expecting it to be so easy. A file cabinet. You just want a file cabinet. File cabinet.
Yeah. So
Weather chopper! And a file cabinet.
So anyway, Heart Darkness, Kingdom Hearts, etc. That's
I choose the headcanon that Leekon had a helicopter in his backyard and they just didn't notice.
of course.
And that Toa Leekon just is Dale Gribble.
Tolakan invented the helicopter, but he didn't tell anyone how it works.
Yeah, Toa Leekon was
Pocket
Leonardo
lava!
da Vinci Dale Gribble. Pocket lava! Wait a minute. Pocket sand would actually be really useful for a Toa because they could use it as throwing stars. They could like throw sand in the air and then fire it up and it turns into glass. Ah, shit. That's cool actually. I like this idea that Leekon is Da Vinci Gribble. Gribble Da Vinci.
So yeah, that's the end of the Challenge of the Hordika part of the book. And now we just get into some comics, which, to be honest, on reflection, I probably wouldn't have included in this section of the reading, but here they are anyway. Let's see. So we get a bit of exposition about the Visorak and how they hate all life. I guess that's just a thing that they do. They don't like things that move, or breathe, or exist. And,
Exterminate!
yeah, they are a bit of that, aren't they? And the Toa Hordika are getting a little bit trigger happy with their beast mode powers. Like, Vikama's just like, yeah, that whole, like, bunch of Visorak, I can take them on. Let me just, like, charge up this Rotuka spinner. And I'll just win, because that's what I do. And then he does, which doesn't help matters, really. Koalas tries to convince Nuju to talk to birds again. He will keep telling Nuju to talk to birds until he eventually gives in.
Yeah, this is how Koala Man teaches everyone birds.
Yeah, he just keeps telling them
hey,
to learn bird language until they give in.
Hey, birds. Hey, birds. Hey, you want to know something? I have a secret. Birds.
If I learn how to speak to birds, will you shut up?
Maybe.
Okay. But yeah, they get ambushed by some more Visorak, as you do, and they escape to the underground. And then we get... Wait. Oh yeah, then we get a sort of a little side story with Hordika, of all people, who's like, hey, here's my backstory. I grew up on an island with a mountain that eats people.
Interesting to see another one of her species, though.
Yeah, it's just her, but green.
Pretty much. Like, they all have the same weird left-hand claw thing.
Yeah, I assume that's just a thing for the comics and not necessarily canon.
So, are all of her species just hot, or just the females,
God's
or
sake.
just her?
I like
Do
to
the
think
guys
they're all
have
hot.
tits, too?
Well, yeah, obviously. I mean, we've established that the tits serve no reproductive function, so presumably they'd all have them.
But do the dominatrix leather mummy look have, leather? But what's the function? Is there any? Do the men look like they're gonna crush your nuts? That's what I'm asking here.
Well, it's all up to interpretation, so... If you
Yep,
want them to
yep,
crush
I
nuts,
just-
then crush nuts they shall.
What if they're a genderless species and they're all just sexy women?
Now
They
that
wouldn't be
I
women
can
if they
get
were
behind.
genderless. So they're all
Crystal
just
Gems, Steven Universe.
they're all just sexy.
Steven Universe.
Yeah.
Moving
We
on.
We are Bionicles. We'll always save the day.
Oh, there's also when they're in the caves, the Kagarak shooting the Shadow Desk or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And
So
that being reflected back.
Yeah, so Nuju and Co run across another Kagarak. These things that used to be a real big issue because they could summon a portal to the Shadow Realm and all that. Nuju just puts a mirror in front of it, and then he wins.
Yeah, that's pretty accurate. Yu-Gi-Oh.
That is like
What
the
I'd like
most
to know is
basic Disney villain.
How do you make an accurate mirror out of ice? Because mirrors require silver or something behind the glass to be truly reflective.
Denser ice.
Yeah, Toa of Ice throughout canon just are super overpowered. If you can do a thing with ice, a Toa of Ice, even a dumb one like Nuju, can just do it.
Yeah.
No, fuck.
I mean, even if we assume he can make a perfect mirror, we also have to take into account that this is just a regular old energy blast. There's no reason it should be reflected other than it's convenient for the plot.
Yeah, theoretically, if you just throw a big rock at it, it would bounce back, which has happened already in 2002.
Yeah.
Although it was a shiny rock, though.
Is there a list of characters so far that have been sent to the Shadow Realm?
Well, okay, so we've had a Kagarak, Bomonga, Wenua, and another Kagarak.
Didn't
the Zivon, I guess.
The Zivon and the
shit.
Tatarak get sent
After
there as well?
So yeah, after the kaiju fight,
The kaiju
Kaiju
fight
Dragon, the Zevon, and
Yes, that's right.
Kraka for some reason all get sent to the
Yeah,
Shadow
that's
Realm,
right.
and they will re-enter the plot at a later date.
Did they find the Shadow
they do,
Door?
don't they?
They find the Shadow Door eventually, but not for a couple years.
Yeah.
I'm fine with this.
Or next year. I don't remember. I apparently never actually read the books after this point, and only absorbed the canon through Black Magic.
Well, for a few of them, I'll be in the same boat as you, because there's quite a few 2006, 2007 books that I never read.
We're gonna need a bigger boat.
Yeah.
Moving on.
Yeah. So anyway, after they fight the Kagarak, there's like, I think it's as they're beating it or immediately afterwards. There's like an earthquake or something, and there's a massive cave-in, and everyone fucking dies.
Fun fact: the earthquake is setting up Namor the Submariner.
Wow.
What? Okay.
No,
I understood that reference.
I recognize the name Submariner, but not any other words.
Yeah.
Anyway, so
I love you 3000.
So Krulus is, he's being all knocked out and dead, and he's dreaming about times past, about back when people weren't Rahaga monster things.
Yep, specifically he's dreaming about events that he was not involved
Yeah, he's specifically dreaming about Norik and Deruani on their adventures.
Yeah, because they got turned ugly last.
Yeah.
Because Lego had already designed sets for Toa, and they decided to make them into the Toa Haga instead of the Toa they were originally going to represent, for some reason.
Yep. But yeah, so we get into a thing here, and so we've already established that the Rahaga used to be Toa. Here, though, it's revealed that not only were they Toa, but they were explicitly like the bodyguards of Makuta. They worked for Makuta, which is interesting, considering up until now Toa have always been, paragons of light and such. They've never been shown to work with shady forces. But I guess this is meant to imply that...
As Leekon said during the movie, the Makuta was apparently originally supposed to serve the boys.
Something like that. I don't...
Levi's asleep, fuck it, I can just say it. The Makuta used to be a good guy, but then he turned evil, almost immediately, and didn't tell anyone. So everyone was just like, yeah, Makuta's a good guy. And then just like, yeah, I crossed my fingers that I have 8 of. Yeah.
I mean, well, to be fair, like, this little comic here, this is basically immediately after the Toahaga find out that Makuta might not be such a good guy. Like, up until now, they've perfectly trusted him. But now they're like, he plans to steal the Mask of Light. Let's not let him do that.
Yeah, perfectly trustworthy. A shapeshifter that chooses to look like a demon.
Mm-hmm.
Perfectly trustworthy.
Yeah. And, and this is also where we get the first name drop of the Brotherhood of Makuta.
Which, we don't know what the hell
Yep.
that is for years to come.
Yeah. I suppose for now, we can assume it's just, like, Makuta's cronies. But...
Yeah, it's a cult. Yeah, as far as we know, it's a cult.
Yeah. But, maybe there's a bit more to it.
Thinking emoji.
Yeah. We find out here that apparently Iruni wants to quit the Toahaga immediately after the mission that they're currently on. No idea why, or why that was written into the story.
If their job was to serve them, the Makuta, and the Makuta bad, then he just wow, Levi got suddenly louder with the snoring.
Yeah. Well, Iruni's...
So basically, Iruni's all like, well, my job's fucked, so I'm gonna go. No one's paying me to be here.
But he, like, explicitly says, I'm not gonna work...
Everyone quiet for a second. He sounds like fucking Marge Simpson.
Oh, how did he just suddenly get louder? Did he roll over and now he's on top of the microphone?
He must have.
I hope
Wasn't
this
he
is going
full
in the episode, by the way.
Oh yeah, of course.
Wasn't he like full of energy when we started, and then he just zonked out?
Yeah, if this
Just
is
out of
what
nowhere.
happens when he's energetic. I hate to imagine what would have happened if we had recorded on Wednesday like we originally planned.
You wouldn't have lasted 10 minutes.
You live nearby him. You should just like do like a mini vlog after the recording. Just walk over to his house and wake him up.
Yeah, England is like 2 feet wide.
No, I'm
so
pretty
you
sure
go-
they hung out together, right?
I mean, yeah. He lives like 10 minutes drive away, so...
Go,
Yeah, Curtis, go-
seriously,
go-
you need to go over there after this episode and like record the whole thing.
Pick me up on the way.
Bring a Sharpie and go Jigglypuff on his ass. Not that way, like the draw on his face.
No. Just like bring a Vizorock or something and just throw it at him while he's asleep.
But I don't have keys to get into his house, like...
Break in.
Oh,
Break into his house.
oh no.
Does he live with his
Throw
parents?
spiders through his
No,
letterbox. Not Vizorock, just real spiders.
Real spiders.
Just fill
I'll
his
get a
house
cup
with
of
spiders. Like a suitcase.
Oh dear. So anyway, most of the Toahaga got turned into goblins. That's a thing.
Goblins.
Goblins.
Goblin disease. Goblin disease.
But can we talk about the fact that when we gotta put this on screen. When they rescue the other Rahaga,
Yeah.
there are still 6 of them coming out of the cage.
Yeah, that was just an art error.
Yeah, and I guess the colorist tried to cover it up because he made 2 of them like the same color as 2 of the others.
Yep. Yep.
But yeah, that
There was obviously some effort being put in, but not where it counts.
yeah, yeah. So they when they do try to rescue the others, of course, they win. Well, they temporarily distract Hordika by Norik ant-manning up underneath her, and then doing a boob bash right into her. Just, yeah.
He literally
also-
just takes his shield and just smacks her in the tits.
Yeah.
Should we go over what the Toahaga's mask powers were? Because
Sure. I mean, they're
if you
never
didn't-
going to get
if you
brought up
didn't-
again, so we might as well now.
If you didn't
Also,
know,
it was
if you didn't know
Norik
Norik,
that fucking Ant-Man under her.
Yeah, that's
yeah,
what I said,
if you
wasn't
didn't know, if
No,
you
you
didn't
said- I think you
already
said
know that
Iruni.
Norik had the,
it? Oh.
If you didn't know, he said Norik. If you didn't know that Norik had the mask of Make Small, Ant-Manning makes no sense in this context.
Especially since the comic also has an error where Norik is in the previous page when it should be Aruni.
Yep, Norik has the mask of Make Small, and Aruni has the mask of Make Go.
Yeah, so
Aruni
has the mask of Quick Travel, which is basically I can teleport anywhere I can see.
Does that include seeing through like solid windows?
Presumably?
I think so. Because of how he teleports around things that he can sort of see, but not directly.
I mean, if it wasn't the case that he could teleport through, transparent things, then he couldn't teleport through air, which is, transparent matter. So.
And that accounts for the 2 that Lego actually made into sets.
Mm-hmm.
The other 4, Bawanga the Toa of Earth wore the mask of Make Big.
Yep. So he is the giant
man. Gaki, Toe of Water, wore the mask of Clairvoyance.
Oh, that's my favorite one.
She could see into the future somewhat.
Yeah, she could see into the future, but she had no control over when or anything. It was basically Vakama's visions.
Yeah, it was basically Vakama's visions, but she could turn it off by just taking the mask off and not wearing it again.
Yeah.
Pooks wore the mask of Mega Man.
Yeah, the mask of emulation. Mask of sick boot romming stuff.
Yeah, the mask of piracy.
Yeah.
And koalas wore the mask of Rahi control, which
sure.
It's basically the souped up version of the Mask of Translation, as Nokama uses it.
Yeah.
Basically, he can tell Arahi what to do, and they'll just do it.
I mean, you could also frame it as a shittier version of the Komau.
Yeah, because the Komau, the Mask of Mind Control, also works on Rahi. So. Yeah. But
it also happens to work on anybody, but with varying levels of... It's more of the Mask of Hypnotic Suggestion.
Yeah.
Basically, it doesn't work on smart people.
Yeah, so
And it only does... you can only mind control people into doing something that they would already do, or if they're stupid, then you have more free reign. There's a lot of
caveats to it.
There's a lot of caveats. G2 introduced the mask of actual mind control, and they called it just the mask of control, because they already had a mask of mind control. They didn't want to complicate things, because G2 was
They already had a mask of creation too, but they made another one of those.
I think they're the same mask. At least the same power.
They also had another mask of time.
Apparently, the masks of time between G1 and G2 are the same mask, and they're going to integrate G2 into G1.
Well, let's talk about that later.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's talk about that one in a couple months when we get to G2.
Yeah.
And when Levi wakes up.
Anyway, so the Toahaga do bust out their goblin friends, but as they're running away, Hordika's like, shut up, I'm gonna shoot you anyway, and turns them into goblins too.
Yep, and now Aruni is the Green Goblin.
Yep. And the others are the other Christmas goblins. And
apparently there is a red goblin in Marvel.
Of course there is. There's a red Hulk, so
I don't know about the other colors.
There's probably goblins of all varieties.
There's a gray goblin. But none of the Rohag are gray.
Yeah.
Well, Gray Hulk is Green Hulk, just a different kind of Hulk.
He's literally just the mobster personality of Green Hulk.
Yep.
Yeah. So
somebody tell Mark Ruffalo that there's a gangster Hulk named Joe Fixit.
So back to the present, or I guess still in the flashback, because remember, all of this 2004, 2005 stuff, this is all taking place within a flashback of the main story.
Which makes it all the more egregious when there are actually flashbacks in the flashback.
Yeah. But anyway, so the underground Toa who were dying aren't dead, and they wake up, and Nuju's like, where the hell is everyone? And Onoa's like, Matao and Nakama, always fucking around, doing illicit activities off on their own. And where are they? Why, they're breaking into another Visorak tower, this time by hitching a ride on a battle ram. A battering ram, rather. And they find out something, that I forget exactly what they find out, but basically they go back and tell the other tower, and everybody's like, let's go raid the Colosseum. And that's it. So, that's where the book ends. They're about to go raid the Colosseum.
Don't forget the bit where they just yeet the entire fucking battle ram out of the tower. Refer to that image in chat for this.
Yeah, that's how Nakama and Matao get out of there. Because they get noticed, and Matao's just like,
they're gonna get sent to the incinerator because apparently the battle ram is faulty or broken. I think that's because
it has one hairline fracture, and they're gonna send it to the incinerator.
I don't think that's actually why. I'm guessing Hordika actually knew they were there.
Probably, yeah. But anyway, Matao yeets it out of there, much to Nakama's dismay, and he lands on Nakama as they land. Oh, very funny.
Very funny.
Yeah. Lenny face, indeed.
Lenny face.
And, sorry, it is really distracting having Levi constantly.
You cut it out of the episode, except when it's funny to have it there.
Oh,
my legs smell like hot dogs.
But anyway,
remove him from the call.
I'm gonna
mute him. There we are.
Yeah, mute him, because if you remove him, it might mess up the recording.
Right.
Yeah. Anyway, so we'll just leave him going at that. So yeah, so we're basically the ends. The Toa are gearing up for an assault on the Colosseum, and that's where we stopped reading for this time being.
The Mask of Light stuff?
No, that's next time.
Oh.
I read through that because it's very easy to just blow through the comic pages.
I read through the first few pages and I was like, nah, screw that. So whatever.
Yep.
So yeah, that's where we got to now. How are y'all feeling about this book?
I love it. I love it.
Honestly,
I quite
really
like it
digging
as
it. Like,
it's so much fun.
It's not a perfect book, but it's fun. It's good. I like the story.
I love it.
Definitely,
great.
yeah. I wasn't expecting to like this going into it because I have, some personal biases against 2005, mostly based on the movie. But yeah, reading the book version and seeing all this, extra build-up and stuff, it really fleshes it out, and I do enjoy how it goes.
One of the things actually that I don't know if they reference it ever again, the fortress for the Brotherhood of Makuta, the teal sand greeny thing. I want to see a set of that. That would be cool.
Yeah, that would be neat.
Like, there's so many cool designs they've included in the comics so far that they reference it in the comics and never mentioned again.
Yeah.
I posted Hordika on Twitter, and this would happen.
Oh, there it is. It sure is a bee. Oh dear. But yeah, so that's what we got there. Alon, let's find out from you the most important thing in the world. Who's your favourite character out of people who've been introduced up in the story this far?
Ooh, good question. I gotta say Cracker, really. Just been an interesting seeing a little side character, like learning more about their backstory and where they come from, and the fact that there are more of them, maybe somewhere, according to Noju, the other one.
Yeah.
Pookie.
That's it.
Pooks. Yeah.
Pookie the crab.
Yeah.
Like, I think as a whole, I probably prefer Irune, but I just think from what I've learned from this, I really like what they've done with Crocker.
Yeah, it is nice seeing Crocker come back, especially since she has emotional investment in what's going on. She has narrative stakes. Like, she has a reason to be doing what she does more than the main villains, Sidorak and Hordika. They're invading Metro Nui. just because, and Hordika has a hard-on for Makuta, like, that's just kind of it. And the Toa, they're just there to rescue the Matoran. So everyone's just sort of doing their jobs, but Cracker, like, you know, she has personal reasons for all this. She's protecting her home. Yeah, yeah, she's protecting her home, and also, you know, protecting her honor as presumably the last of her species, which she then finds out to maybe not be the case. And so, yeah, I hope she finds more of her kind later on. That would be nice.
That'd be some nice resolution. I don't think that's going to happen, personally, but...
No.
Okay.
But yeah, that is
see if
about...
Levi's still asleep.
Sure is.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't bother muting. They're just still there.
Yep.
I didn't mute him either. It's still there for me. It will never stop.
So I suppose we'll find out next time if Levi ever wakes up. But thank you all very much for coming. This
I
has
wasn't
been
joking when I said you should go over to his house and vlog it.
Well,
Especially
it's like
considering, like, you'll probably be saving his hard drive by doing it.
true. But consider
bring
the
a
following:
shark,
it is
bring
1
it.
in the morning, and I don't want to go outside.
Do it. Do it. Kill him.
But
Feed him
yeah,
spiders.
anyway, thank you all for coming along and being cool and reading the book. Next time on The Gathered Friends, we will be reading Book 5, Complete Edition, Chapter 40 through to the Epilogue. So the rest of Book 5. That includes the Mask of Light animation stuff, which the book has a handy link to an actual like YouTube upload of the video. So if you want to watch it instead of read it, there's that bit. And it also covers the rest of Web of Shadows, and also Time Trap, so quite a lot to be going through. Optional reading as well, there is Bionicle Encyclopedia. I don't feel the need to read that, it doesn't include a lot that isn't included in the book version. And of course Bionicle 3 Web of Shadows, the movie, which is just a worse version of the book. So, that's everything. We already have a guest lined up for next week, but if you want to be a guest on a future episode, just shoot us up on Twitter. Shoot us up? No, hit us up on Twitter or on the YouTube comments.
Yeah,
yes,
shoot us up on Twitter with guns.
Yes, of course.
Did you say we were reading the best book next week, or is it next week?
The best book. If you're referring to Time Trap, that is next week,
Yeah.
so, yeah.
Good, I love that one. It's the best.
Yeah, I love Time Trap too, but I lost my original copy, so this will be my first time reading it in about 10, 15 years.
It's
Not
real
15,
weird.
but, you know.
It's real weird that Greg put most of his narrative effort into the one they didn't make into a movie.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, we'll talk in full detail about that next time, so... once again, thank you all. Do be good in the future and in the present, and hopefully in the past as well. Don't leave school unless that's good for you.
Shield slamming lizard titties.
Put a Sharpie up his pooper.
Excuse me?
And that's where we end for the day.